Okay. Hi, everybody.
What up?
Take my exit survey before
Good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you're from. Pop in the chat and let us know where you're tuning in from. Make sure your chat settings are set to everybody so we can all see. Hello, Neil from Calgary. Hello, Ralph, Old Man Galetti from Albuquerque. Hello, Ruby from Arcata, Florida, Austin, Plainfield. What's up? All right, we will. Oh, yeah.
Do we have any Brits here? Any UK friends? Hey, oh no. I always get confused with New England. I'm like, no. Not the right one.
The best England, as some call it.
Hey, Joe.
There we go. Joe's in now.
Oh, and we've got some Slovakia. Nice.
All right, we'll get started in a sec here. I have my laptop pulled up over here so I can see the chat. So if you see me looking over here, I'm not texting or anything. Just checking the chat. We'll get started in 2 minutes. Got a lot to cover today. We got a lot of case study to go through with our featured artist here, Abigayle Oakley, which we'll do some introductions in just a minute. Do me a favor, pop a 1 in the chat if this is your first Mad Records event. This is the first time you've ever been on one of our... Oh, yeah. Oh,
welcome. A lot of ones.
Amazing. And then pop a 2 in the chat if you have been to one of our events before.
I've been to one.
Oh, yes. Me, Rob, Abigayle are the only returning ones. Okay. All right, let's dive in. I might have botched my chat settings actually, so I might not be able to actually see it now. Okay, make sure your chat settings are set to everyone so we can all see. And let's get going. By the way, this song is Press 3 by Abigayle Oakley, who we'll be learning more from today. So if you like it, go check it out. All right. Let me share my screen. There we go. 5-year music plan. Today we are going deep into what it actually looks like to build a music career. So we're not talking about gambling your music career. We're not talking about short-term tips and tricks. We're talking about what it actually looks like to build a music career. That's Abigayle on the left. That's a very moody looking picture of me on the right. And today we're going to go into all the details of what it actually looks like to build a music career. So the agenda for today, lots to cover. Rob, if you see anything in the chat in the meantime, let me know, because I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull it up on my screen here.
Got you.
Agenda for today, we're going to do some introductions. We're going to do a little mindset, talking about detoxing from the viral mindset. We're going to talk about top of funnel, middle of funnel, and bottom of funnel. So if you don't know what those are, that's fine. We're going to cover that. And then we're going to talk about how we tie it all together. And we're going to open it up to some Q&A at the end as well. So 2 ground rules that I always do at the beginning of these presentations. So for all the folks who have been here before, you're going to hear me say this again. For all the new folks, turn your ears on. Number 1 ground rule is ask your question. If you think that you have a stupid question, then that is a good indicator that someone else has that question too and is also afraid to ask it. So there are no stupid questions. Ask your question. Just make sure your chat settings are set to everyone so that we can see it when you pop it in. Do not be afraid to ask your question. It makes these presentations a lot more fun and dynamic. And ground rule number 2, you need to accept that you are an entrepreneur. So I always say, if you want to get your music out there into the world, if you want to build an audience, if you potentially want to build a career and monetize your music, then you have to accept that you're an entrepreneur. You can't fight that. You can't say, oh, well, I want to, I just want to make music. If you want to just make music, then you can leave the webinar, turn to your instrument, and go make music. No one's going to stop you from doing that. But if you want to build an audience and build a career from this, then you have to accept that you're an entrepreneur. And that's an exciting thing. You should be fired up about that. I love that. A lot of times what people are actually afraid of is what they think being an entrepreneur actually means. We're going to debunk a lot of those myths anyways. But moving forward, should you choose to stay on this webinar from this moment forward, I'm dubbing you as an entrepreneur. and it's something you can never get rid of. So congratulations. So number one, let's do some introductions. Who the F is Michael Gilbride? Who am I? You're probably asking if this is your first time here. Um, I started off my career as a corporate bond trader on Wall Street. These are the only two pictures I have from that time because I don't like to think back on it too much. That was me when I lost a bet and I had to come in dressed as Guy Fieri. You could see the other guys gleefully taking pictures of me and then spreading them around the entire office. And that was my old trading setup where I fried my eyeballs for 3 years with blue light that went directly into my retinas for 3 years. So I was a corporate bond trader, traded about $50 million worth of corporate bonds for a couple years coming out of college. My goal was to do that for a couple years, save up some money, and then sign myself to a record deal. I was going to quit my job and sign myself to a record deal. And in March of 2020, I did exactly that. Some say it's the greatest timing to start a live music project of all time, March of 2020. Um, Spent the next couple years promoting my music, recording, releasing music, playing some shows. Spent a ton of money trying to promote my music in ways that just flat out did not work. And that's where I learned all of the lessons I'm going to teach you guys here today. Um, this is my failed band, my now deceased band that has, I guess, somewhat come back on Substack now called Telco. After I shut down my music career, I spent the next couple years building two separate businesses. One was a online production school called mastering.com, and then the other is Mad Records, which you are all here as a part of right now. It was building these two companies that I learned how to be an entrepreneur and what it takes to actually make money from a business and how to approach business from an actual realistic standpoint. And now with Mad Records, I've combined my love of being an artist with my love of business. And my goal now moving forward is to teach artists how to approach their music career like a proper business so that they don't make the mistakes that I did and they don't spend a bunch of money and end up doing a presentation years down the road about how they failed as an artist. So that's what I'm here to prevent you from doing. I also have a Substack, which many of you might be from as well. We're a bestseller on Substack where I teach these skills. So if you haven't, go check that out. That's me. Who the F? That's not me. That's Abigayle. That was me. Who the F is Abigayle Oakley? Abigayle is one of the best up and coming songwriters, performers, artists in Nashville, Tennessee. She's one of my good friends. Abigayle, I'll toss it to you if you want to do a quick intro for yourself.
Hey, hey, hey. Thanks for having me. I'm a friend of Mad Records. Love what y'all do here. And yeah, I'm a Nashville-based artist. I've been touring independently for the last 2.5, 3 years, and just building my business while creating art. And I'm excited to talk today about the behind the scenes and
Oh yeah.
kind of the nitty gritty of being an independent artist in the year 2026.
Sweet. Abigayle is also making her full-time income from her music career. She was recently featured on the latest season of The Voice, so if you recognize her from there. She's won a couple folk festivals. And the important thing, the reason why we brought Abigayle in for this presentation is because Abigayle is a great realistic look at what it's like to actually build a sustainable music career. She is not an overnight viral success. She's not a content creator. She is a true artist that is building a career brick by brick by brick. We've been kind of working with Abigayle for, around a year and a half to almost 2 years now and helping her to kind of take some of the approach that we're going to talk about here today. And this is what it looks like to actually build a music career. So everything that we talk about on this webinar, we're going to link to Abigayle and how she's actually implementing it. So we'll get into all the details. So, all right, that's enough for introductions. If everybody is ready to start, pop a 1 in the chat if you're ready to go. I got my chat back, so I could see. Oh, yeah. Okay, good. All right. I have a lot to cover. I get very worked up about this stuff. I get very excited. So I'm going to be going through a lot. So make sure that if you have questions, ask them, pop in the chat, let me know. Let me know you're still alive. And let's get started. So first thing that we want to do today is some mindset stuff. and we want to detox from what I call the viral mindset. So most music marketers, most music marketing gurus right now out there in the world all tend to encourage people to do kind of the same thing, which is post content, attempt to go viral, and then something awesome will happen at that point. That's kind of the path that you're kind of told as an artist, right? You make content, you try to go viral, and then something is supposed to happen on the other side of that that turns into a real career. And it makes my job very, very hard at Mad Records because what we try to do is tell people the truth about what it actually looks like to build a music career. And the truth is that it's not very sexy. It's not super exciting. It's not short term. It takes work. It takes effort. It takes a lot of kind of moving out of your comfort zone. And so the analogy that I have for this is as an artist right now, you've kind of got two options. You've got option A, which is like this sexy casino, and you've got drinks and table games and slot machines, and it's like, oh, it gets you fired up and excited. And yeah, sure, everybody walking out of the casino is like depressed and lost their life savings, but who cares because it's going to be fun and we're going to have a great time. And this is kind of the traditional approach that people are taking towards their music career. And what we're advocating at Mad Records looks a lot more like option B, which is kind of like a kind of dark, dingy manufacturing plant where it's like if you spend 5 years working your butt off over here, you might be able to make a career for yourself. You might be able to support yourself. And look how fulfilled that young woman looks. She looks like yeah, she doesn't have the casino excitement, but she looks fulfilled, and that's what matters. So realistically, what we're trying to do is detox people from this kind of gambling mindset that's taken over the music business. Because the truth of the matter is that sure, you're going to see some test cases and examples of people who went viral and turned it into a career, but it's no different than walking in a casino and hearing about someone who won the jackpot, right? It's not a plan. And it just gives you this impression that if I just spend more money on this, or if I post one more reel, that maybe I'm going to be that jackpot winner. And the problem is over the course of 5 years, you may do that for 5 years straight and have nothing to show for it. Whereas if you take our approach to building your music career, yes, it's going to take longer, that's guaranteed, but you're going to actually be building assets and audiences and strategies and paths that are actually going to be able to sustain you over time. So we're trying to really detox from this viral mindset. I understand that it's tempting to want to just go out and throw $500 at meta ad campaigns and see if you could just blow up your career immediately. But again, as someone who did that, trust me, and it was more than $500, as someone who did exactly that, you don't want to do it because, again, it's a gambling style approach to something that requires real intention and real business building. So with this, what we're talking about today, you are building a real business. You're not gambling, and that should be exciting to you because, again, you're an entrepreneur. We already talked about that. So I'm going to show you an example of, again, like kind of the traditional approach, the gambling style. This is an old uh, piece of content that I posted myself back when I was doing my artist. This is kind of was the breaking point for me. I looked up and realized I was standing on the train tracks in the middle of Nashville, Tennessee, lip syncing into a microphone that was not plugged in. And I was kind of like, there has to be a better way than this. Um, and the old school kind of style of promoting yourself is you post that reel and then you post another reel and you post another reel and you post 500 reels and then you post 1,000 reels until eventually something amazing happens. That's kind of like the plan for most people. You're just going to post reels until something amazing eventually happens. Here we go. But again, that's the gambling style approach, right? This is just the idea that, okay, I'm just going to throw another $10 on black, or I'm going to play blackjack, or I'm going to take another spin of the slot machines, and eventually something amazing is going to happen. But that's not a strategy. And the way that I explain this to people is imagine if you were starting a pizza business and you walked into a bank to get a business loan and they said, what's your business plan? And you said, well, we're going to film videos of us making the pizza and we're going to post them online. They would look at you and they would be like, please leave my bank, right? We're not going to give you a loan. That's not a business plan. So this isn't a business plan. It's gambling. And the false premise, all of this kind of gambling style approach revolves around one false premise, which is that attention equals success. The idea that if I can just get attention, if I can just get people's attention, then somehow success will come from that. And it's not fully wrong, but it's only one part of the equation. What building a music career actually looks like is something like this, and attention is a core component of it. You'll see it there at the top of this funnel that we're building. But there's three other steps that are equally, if not more important than getting attention. And that is storing the attention, building relationships, and then getting those relationships to actually take an action. So again, attention is a core component of this, but it's not the entire story. And what's happening now is that the other three components are kind of getting left out and no one's talking about them. And that's where all the money is to be made. That's where all of the success and sustainability comes from. And so you have all of these artists running around desperately trying to get attention, and then they get the attention and they're never able to do anything with it because they haven't implemented these other steps. So we're going to go through that today. You'll hear me refer to these different sections: the attention as your top of funnel, your storage and relationships as your middle of the funnel, and action as your bottom of the funnel. So one's in chat if everybody is following me so far. Okie doke. Love it. All right. So we're going to start at the top of the funnel where attention is earned, and we're going to go through some specific examples with Abigayle. So the purpose of the top of funnel and the challenge of the top of the funnel is to get a cold audience to notice what you're doing. So folks who have been on my webinars before know that a cold audience is basically anyone who is unfamiliar with who you are. They are unaware of who you are as a person. So it's your job to get the attention of someone who doesn't know who you are yet. That's the purpose of a top of funnel marketing strategy. The myth is that social media is the only way to get attention nowadays. Everybody I talk to, usually when they come into our program, says, "Oh, I understand that, social media is the only way that I can do this, or I have to be on social media." And they kind of take this begrudging approach to it. It's just not true. Social media is one of many, many, many different ways that you can get attention. It can be a powerful one if you implement it properly, but it's not the only way of getting attention. There are millions of ways to get attention. For example, you could go out onto the street and you can busk, right? You can go down to Broadway here on Nashville and you could play songs on the as people walk by, and that's a way of you getting attention. You can open up for other artists. It's a great way of getting attention from other people's audience. You can do incredible education webinars like this. You could do collaborations with other people who have existing audiences, and you can use social media. So today, what we're going to talk about with Abigaille's top of funnel, what she does for her top of funnel is folk festivals, social media, and television appearances. Now, ground rule number one for this presentation, when we're using Abigaille's examples, the takeaway here is not great. I need to go do folk festivals, social media, and television appearances. The takeaway here is to understand why Abigayle is picking these things, how they fit her specific strengths, and what might fit your specific strengths that are going to be different from these things. So again, as we go through these examples, I don't want you taking notes on, okay, I have to first reach out to Kerrville Folk Festival and say, I know Abigayle. Like, that is not the approach here. So again, we're going to talk about the underlying principles here. So Abigayle, this is where I kind of want to loop you in and talk about the folk festival side of things. How did you kind of establish this as part of your core marketing strategy of getting in front of some new audience members?
Well, one of the first conversations you and I had, Michael, I don't know if you remember, was like trying to drill down who is listening to my music. And I think it is like songwriters or people who like have a passion for lyrics and, just an organic performance of like guitar, vocal. And so I started entering songwriting competitions, and part of that was because I wanted to get on the road. Like, I've always wanted to tour, and I started at the Wildflower Arts and Music Festival, and I made friends with other artists who were doing what I wanted to be doing, which was touring. And so yeah, it's great to go to these folk festivals because you just meet people who are really passionate about music and small artists. I think some people, like some fans of music, are fans of like top 40 Sabrina Carpenter. Like, they're listening on a Spotify playlist or radio, and like that's how they consume music. But there is an audience that is like looking for new stuff that isn't popular, that's small, and you can I'll come play in your living room. Like, so that was
Right.
the people that I was trying to surround myself with. And it's been a really fun way to see different parts of the country and like meet like-minded people. And um yeah, so that's
Cool.
I think that's all.
So, all right. So the takeaway there is identify who is the target audience for what kind of music that you actually make, and then ask the question, where are those people? So for Abigail, she plays, more acoustic sets. It's more intimate. It's more about the lyrics, right? And so going out and trying to book a show at, you know, Bonnaroo immediately is maybe not the exact route for Abigail. It's more so finding, okay, where is this type of music appreciated? What kind of audience is interested in this? And instead of shaking her fist at the sky and saying like, oh, my music isn't top 40 radio, you go and you find where the audience is that is interested in the kind of music that she's making, and then you try and get in front of that audience. So, perfect example of that. Other top of funnel strategy for Abigail, very unique approach towards social media. Primarily on what, Instagram? Do you do TikTok as well?
I should do TikTok, but it's one of those things where like I want to be in and out as fast as possible. With like I
Yeah.
post the video on Instagram and um yeah, that we could talk about that maybe on a different call, but
Yeah.
mostly Instagram. That's what I use. And
So what I want to ask you about with your social media is most people are very, very resistant to social media because they think that they have to do it in a certain way. And I think you're the perfect example. And we've had many conversations. I remember talking about this over coffee many times of the thing that makes Abigail Abigail is she's got a sense of humor. She's got a unique approach towards things. And she started doing that exact approach on social media. And that was the thing that worked. And so your last song that you put out had a reference to hot dogs. And so you started doing this weird thing where you were cooking hot dogs or making hot dogs on the Instagram while your music played. And tell us about that and how that's worked so far.
yeah, I didn't know how that was gonna work out when I posted the first video, but it ended up getting like 280,000 views. And all of a sudden, all these like hot dog people were following me, and they wanted hot dog content. So it was
That's
pretty
incredible.
split. That's what's so, this is where the gambling comes in, is like, you go viral, right? And then there are maybe, I don't know what the percentage exactly would be, maybe 30% on the high end of like people who like this video because of the song playing behind it. And then most people are like, their whole feed is hot dogs all the time. And I kind of fell into that algorithm. But yeah, I think I'm still trying to like unpack the impact of this because well, I was just at a house show over the weekend, and the hosts like got me a hot dog plushie. And like, so people who are, in the middle of the funnel or toward the bottom of the funnel, they're like, it's fun for them too. So it's not just
Right.
this like, okay, I got a bunch of followers and a bunch of views from this one thing. It's like exists in all parts of the ecosystem, and just trying to be like, I mean, at top of mind, I guess. And um
Yeah.
the big thing for me is like it has to be fun. Like I content is a drag when you're like when it's not when you're not creating like what you want to, I guess. And I've just had lots of fun like going around with friends and trying different hot dogs and just trying
And
to
I think
make it light.
the core point too is that this isn't your entire strategy. It's one component of it. And so if you get an influx of people who come in from something like this, it, like you said, it might be 30%, it might be 10% of people that are actually interested in the music. And so it's your job to then build a relationship with those 10% and know that the other 90% are probably going to make their way out at some point. And that's why we have the rest of the funnel in place to make sure that you could build a relationship with the people who are actually here for the music. So social media is the second component. And then you've got sort of interesting opportunities that pop up throughout your career that you're taking advantage of. The latest being your appearance on The Voice. So talk to me a little bit about like number one, how do you get this opportunity? And two, what did this do for you in terms of that attention and getting attention from people?
Hmm. I mean, this kind of came out of the woodwork for me just because of like having been in Nashville for a lot of years. They had an open call and they send a bunch of Nashville folks out, and I I was at a point in my life where I was saying yes to everything and just seeing where the energy is reflecting back at me,
Hmm.
I kind of held it lightly throughout the whole process. Like even before the audition, I was kind of like, if this is gonna go, it's gonna go. But if not, like I am out in Los Angeles, I'm learning about artist development and branding and surrounded by incredible musicians and an awesome production team. So with everything like in my business plan, like I shouldn't put air quotes around the business plan. It's a real business plan now. But maybe a year ago I put air quotes around it, but business plan. We're
Yeah, there you go.
entrepreneurs,
There
right?
you go.
So, like, this fulfilled as much a human curiosity as, like, what would it be like to be on TV? And then everything else was kind of bonus of, like, it's that shiny thing on the resume. I've had people come out to shows just because they've seen me on The Voice. And then it's kind of like this whole surprise afterward when they're like realizing, oh, I have like original music or
Mm.
I'm playing in your city. So um it's brought like a handful of people into my like universe, I guess. And but I'd say even more so, like it's excited the folks that were already in my corner, like,
Mm.
seeing a win in a very like conventional commercial lane, like this success has like strengthened some of the relationships of people who were my music mentors or like people I went to high school with. And so again, like having those multiple touch points and the folk festival in Kerrville, like I was just there, and last time I was there was before the show, and so just having like celebrating that win with this community that was kind of already existing was a cool part of that process.
So what I want to kind of underline for everybody watching here at this point is that if you took these three things, you said, okay, Abigail's been on The Voice, she's had some success with her social media, and she's playing some folk festivals and doing well at those folk festivals. Most people would look at this and go, oh my gosh, she's killing it. This is great. She must be making a fortune. She's doing like that's the whole strategy. That's it. She's gonna just The Voice is gonna blow up her career. The festivals are gonna be great. She's popping off on social media. None of this stuff would matter if we didn't know what to do with this attention once we had it. And that's the thing, that's what has gotten Abigail to the point where she's actually been able to take these things and build a sustainable career out of it. Because trust me, and Abigail, I'm sure you'll back me up, we've seen loads of people who have been on The Voice. We've seen loads of people who have had viral Instagrams. We've seen loads of people who have played live for a really, really long time. And just doing those things doesn't really translate to success. In fact, a lot of times you check in on those people 3 months after their appearance on The Voice or something, and they're kind of back to where they were. Because again, you're getting this influx of attention, which is awesome, but only if we can store it somewhere and build on that success over time. So that's the thing that I want to be very clear is most people would look at this and stop here and say, great, I'm on The Voice. I am doing okay on social media and I'm playing some shows. That means that I just need to do this long enough until something happens. What we actually have to do is we have to make that something happen. And that's what we're going to kind of get into now, which is the rest of the funnel. So one's in chat if everybody's still awake and following along. Okie doke. Lucy, what? Lucy is the first one. That's good. All right. So attention is only step one of this process. What we're going to move into now is the middle of the funnel. And this is where attention is stored and relationships are built. And so the analogy that I use for this is think about a laptop that has a really janky battery where every time you unplug that laptop from the wall, the laptop dies, right? You're never actually storing the battery, so you can't take that laptop anywhere. You lose your work every time you unplug it from the wall, right? That's kind of how most people are artists are treating their music career is they're getting the attention like we talked about, but they're never storing that attention. And that's why it always feels like you're Scooby-Doo and you're running, but you're not getting any traction, right? Because you're getting attention, but you're not storing it anywhere. And that means you can't build on that attention. So the challenge here is to convert that attention into owned relationships and re-engage your audience 6 to 8 times. We'll talk about that in a couple minutes. But an example of this to show the importance would be imagine if I, for example, for my top of funnel strategy, decided I was going to just go busk on the street. I was just going to play songs on the street. And let's say I start doing that and I amass a massive crowd in front of me, just like this guy here. I think this is Passenger. I don't know. But let's say I'm amassing a massive crowd in front of me and everybody's digging my music and they're liking what I'm doing and they're excited and they're loving it. And then at the end of my set, I take a look at this crowd and I go, awesome. Thanks for coming out. Take care. And I pack my stuff up and I leave. I just had a couple hundred people who were really, really interested in what I was doing. I had their attention. I had them engaging with what I was building. And by walking away and not collecting any information on who these people are or how I can reach them again, it's impossible for me to ever continue to build a relationship with them. And so when I have a new single that comes out or I'm playing a show, all of these people who are potential customers, potential fans, potential people, audience members that would engage with my stuff, I have no way of ever reaching them again. And so when I go down to busk again the next week, and I amass another big audience, it doesn't really matter because I'm not able to actually build on those successes. So I'm getting attention and that feels nice. I've got a big crowd here, but unless I can build on that attention, it doesn't actually turn into something sustainable. So that's where the middle of the funnel comes in. And this is where you store attention to actually be able to build on your successes. So some examples of middle of the funnel. Again, what we're trying to do here is pull them into an ecosystem where we can re-engage them over and over again. Number one, you've all heard me talk about it probably if you've been here before, is building your email list. So pop a 2 in the chat if you registered for this webinar via an email from me or from Abigayle. Pop a 2 in the chat. Exactly. Right? Loads of people came from the email list. The only reason that I can get you here on this event and have a whole bunch of people here today is because I was able to engage you directly. So all of you found Mad Records or you found Abigayle in some random way. You found us however you found us. But our ability to re-engage you is what got you here on this event right now. So the email list is a powerful way of being able to re-engage people and build a relationship with them. Same goes for an SMS list, texting list. Substack, maybe pop a 3 in the chat if you're from Substack. That's another place that we build our audience. It's another way that we get direct into people's inboxes and build relationships with them. So there'll be some folks from Substack here as well. Social media is a place where you can build your middle of the funnel. We'll talk about that with Abigayle in just a minute. Or in-person networking. If the purpose of middle of the funnel is to just build relationships, you can do that by just going out and meeting people. You can do that by going to shows and bumping into people and meeting their fans and engaging with them. So again, I want people to break out of this bubble of everything has to be social media. Social media is just one component of a whole landscape that we have. And part of that landscape doesn't even have to be digital. It can be in person. So this is the important part, I would say. This is the part that you don't hear about artists' journeys anywhere else. And this is going to be Abigayle's middle of the funnel. So what we're trying to do here is take the attention that she's getting from social media, folk festivals, and her television appearance and convert it into a place that she can re-engage and build a relationship with her audience. And the way that Abigayle is doing that is through an email list, through Substack, and through social media. So we're going to go through each one of these. And if you have questions, pop in the chat and we'll answer as we go along. Okay, so number one, what we have here is an example of an Instagram reel that Abigayle posted. Was this the day of the blind audition, Abigayle?
It was, yeah.
Okay, so the episode of The Voice just aired. Abigayle got all 3 judges to turn around and want to pick her for their team. And so Abigayle posts this Instagram reel. She knows she's got this influx of attention of people coming in. You were getting a bunch of followers at that time because people were watching the episode. So she's got this influx of attention. And immediately, what she's trying to do is squirrel away as many of those people onto her mailing list as possible. So she got this Instagram story that says, if you're new here, join my email list for all the best info. And so automatically, all of these people who are coming into her ecosystem, she's getting the data on who they are as fast as possible. So that way, when people are finished watching The Voice and they're no longer interested, she's able to continue to build a relationship and engage them. Another way that Abigail's building her mailing list, and Abigail, you could talk about this, is she brings a journal with her on tour. And during her sets, as far as I understand it, Abigail, correct me if I'm wrong, but during her sets, she passes around her journal and says, put your email in my personal journal to sign up for my mailing list. And what you get is this kind of really intimate experience. It's not just a regular opt-in where you're signing a QR code or something like that. You're actually holding something physical. It's Abigail's journal, and you're signing your name in it. And so it's this really deep connection with folks that they're having. And what you're doing is you're playing a show. You've got people there. You've got their attention. And now I'm squirreling away as many of them onto a mailing list as possible so I can continue to build a relationship with them as well. So Abigail, anything to add to that?
Yeah, this was kind of an accident when I started doing this. I was up on stage thinking like, oh, I forgot to bring the email list sign up. It's not at the merch table. And I had this notebook up on stage and I was like, okay, don't flip through any of these pages. Like this is, there's nothing I wouldn't put in a song on these journal pages, but like, just sign up if you want to. And someone wrote me a verse one time, which was kind of fun. And
That's crazy.
I don't know. I like to engage. Oh, wait, yeah, literally. I think I just swiped through it. I like the shows to be interactive and not just like listen to me sing. Look, this is someone else's handwriting. They wrote me something
That's
about
crazy.
acceptance. So
So,
yeah, I kept doing it after that because it was so fun for everybody. And
and what I want people to think about here is if someone is writing a verse into her personal journal, that is the type of person who is eventually going to buy merch. That's the type of person who's going to buy tickets. That's the type of person who's going to stream Abigail's music. Like that is what creates these super fans that we talk about, the people that are actually going to help you build sustainable careers. And so again, if we're just playing the show and you get the audience there, that's step one. But how can we actually build a relationship with them so they feel like they're part of your ecosystem? That's the whole purpose of this middle of the funnel. So when you told me this, I thought it was genius, and it's so funny that it happened as an accident because as most things do. Um, and what the email list allows Abigail to do again is to build a relationship. And so this is an email that Abigail sent out shortly after her blind audition on The Voice, where she played a cover of Call Your Girlfriend by Robin. And so now all of those people who are interested in The Voice, who signed up for her mailing list, Abigail is now able to give them the song that she performed on The Voice. And those are going to be the exact type of people that are actually going to go out and stream that song because that was the thing that they came in for. And so again, you're taking the attention and you're turning it into an actual relationship and you're storing that attention in a place that you own, that you have control over. One's in chat if everybody's following. Sorry, I have to check from time to time, make sure I'm not boring people. Good. Good, 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 good. All right, let's keep going. Another middle of the funnel strategy is this exact webinar that you guys are on right now. Does everybody remember this page when they were registering for the event? What you're going to see at the bottom of this page is a little section that says, by registering for this webinar, you agreed to be added to Abigayle Oakley's mailing list, which includes occasional updates, news, and promotions. This webinar, what we're doing is a partnership where we are helping Abigail get attention. We're sending this out to our mailing list. We're helping promote it. And we're helping her to build her own mailing list by having this opt-in. And in exchange, Abigail's coming on and doing this, allowing us to kind of dissect her career and talk about Mad Records and everything that we're doing here. And so this alone is a way of building people onto the mailing list. And so I ask you, when Abigail sends you an email, be kind to her and engage with it. And when you see her email, study it and go, oh, interesting. This is how this works because you guys are in the funnel now. as a work. So again, these are the types of things that you could do to build your middle of the funnel. Um, Another piece of Abigail's middle of the funnel is her Substack. And so Substack, for those of you who don't know what Substack is, it's basically a social media slash writing platform. And the big differentiator with Substack is that when someone subscribes to you, you actually get their email address. And so when you do a post on Substack, it actually gets delivered to people's inboxes directly. And so again, Abigail gets attention through her top of funnel and then builds the relationship through her Substack. And so if again they came in through The Voice and they saw her on The Voice and then they subscribed to her, Abigail has a post here where she's talking, sharing her journal that she wrote during the voice process. So Abigail, you want to talk about this for a second?
Yeah, this is kind of another happy accident where I was just journaling the whole time. I'm always journaling. But I was reading back some things just as the show was airing, and there were some insights that I thought like would be valuable to my friends who are artists and like people who are, trying to make their way, or like people who are just curious about what it means to do a show like that. And um the reason I love Substack because you can kind of make these like long form reflections, and like for me it's like an archive of everything I've ever written and shared. And I wanted this kind of once in a lifetime experience of being on TV and like all the craziness that went along with that. Like I just wanted it to have a space in the timeline, more so than just like an Instagram feed of like here are these short clips of what kind of happened. But Substack is like where everything is like fully out there in the open, and like kind of like this call where we're breaking things down. Like Substack is where I break down the inspiration for songs. And one of my goals always, and especially this year, is like just to support the cyclical nature of creativity and like sharing your art. And like I think vulnerability and transparency is like how we do that. So by sharing my journal entries, like I hope that it inspires people to like do the scary thing. Like this was a scary thing for me. And I try to post like writing prompts on there too, so it's not just like here, look at me, look at what I'm making. It's like this is what I made thinking about this. What would you make if you had this prompt? Or like um yeah, so that's what Substack is to me, and I
Yeah, I
like the
think,
long format of it.
yeah. And so again, it sounds like a broken record, but like what Abigail's able to do is to take one moment and turn it into a whole universe that she's building where people get to see what it's like behind the scenes, what was going through her mind during the voice journey. And so again, you're building that relationship, you're building that depth that you won't get if you're just only posting content. So again, another core part of her middle of the funnel. And then social media is another part of her middle of the funnel where you could see she got this huge spike of fans and followers from her hot dog content.
Yeah, this is all
Just
hot dog
that's crazy to
posts.
me. It's just crazy. But then the goal is once you get those followers, again, to build a relationship with them. And so responding to different comments and communicating with people there. I know a lot of artists that think like, oh, if I don't respond to comments, it makes me look like I'm bigger or busier. You want to build relationships with these people. You want them to feel like they're connecting with you. And so Abigail does a really good job of, if they are on social media, of building a relationship with them once they're there as well too. And I'm sure you get DMs and contacts from people on social media that you do as well. Is that true, Abigail?
Yeah, I'm almost always DMing someone on like Instagram being like, come to Portland. And I'm like, okay. Yeah, what's
Cool.
your email? I'll email you when I'm coming to Portland. And
There you
so
go. See?
it's just yeah.
Oh my gosh, you're getting really good at this, Abigail. This is amazing.
Well, you're I got the Mad Records mindset drilled
Yeah,
into the
I'm in your
dome.
head.
So yeah.
I'm in your head, yeah. So again, I can't stress enough why the middle of the funnel is the most important part. And I'll say put a 2 in the chat if you've got any emails from me for a while now. And if you read those emails. I know sometimes they can be a little annoying. I get it. But it's the only way that I can keep in touch with the people. It's the only tool that independent creators, independent businesses have to really reach their audience and let them know what they're doing. And so there are so many people here that read my Substack or read my emails. And again, you probably all show up here and it feels like you probably know me in some regard, right? Because we built that relationship. And that's why when I write these emails, I try to be vulnerable myself. I try to be honest. I try to write the way that I actually am, because that's the thing that makes it feel like we're building a real relationship here. So, again, this is the most important part when it comes to building an actual sustainable career out of anything. For Abigayle, it's an artist career. For us, it's a music business, but this is the same fundamental process for any business that you're trying to build. Okay, so let's get to the bottom of the funnel. So this is where the action happens. And what I mean by the action is this is where you get your audience to buy something or take a desired action. So it could be either. You could sell them something, or you could just ask them to do something. It doesn't always have to be buying something. But again, without that relationship, people aren't going to want to do something. So if Abigayle was, um, you know, at the folk festival, and at the end of her show, she said, "Everybody buy tickets to my next show," it wouldn't work, right? Because most of those people didn't have a relationship with them. They don't know her yet. But if they opted into her mailing list and started seeing all of the things that she was doing on her Substack and her emails and the journals and all of that stuff, that's where they build a relationship with them. And that's when she sends an email out to promote her next show, that person's going to actually take that desired action. They're going to make a purchase. So again, you cannot have the bottom of the funnel without building that relationship first. You can't just get people to do things. So the myth here that I want to debunk, this is another mindset piece, is that selling something to my audience is gross. I want to put this to bed right from the jump, because two things. Number one, I think selling things directly to your audience is the best way to make a living, because that means that you're making money directly from people who appreciate what you're doing and people that you're providing value to. We make at Mad Records 100% of our revenue pretty much from independent artists, musicians, and producers that we're helping. And I feel awesome about that, because it means that my incentives are aligned to help them as much as possible. And so making money from your audience is actually, in my opinion, the best way to make a living. And then the second thing is, a lot of times most artists would be happy to sign a record deal. And so it's not that they're uncomfortable with making money from their audience. It's just that they don't want to do it themselves. They would rather have a record label go out and do it, right? Because selling things direct to your audience can be uncomfortable, because you actually have to communicate what you're providing them that is of value. And so I want to kind of put this myth to bed. It's not gross. It depends on how you do it. There are gross ways to do it, and this is where your character and your values come into play. But it in and of itself is not a bad thing to do. In fact, I would argue it's the best way to make a living, because it aligns you 100% with your core audience. So if you do have a little bit of that mindset, I encourage you to kind of take a step back from it and say, am I afraid of selling things, or do I think selling things is gross, or do I think that specific ways of selling things is gross, and maybe I won't pursue that strategy. So we'll talk about Abigail's bottom of the funnel here now as well. So bottom of the funnel examples. So you can redirect people to streaming, basically a product that you're getting them to purchase for 0.3 of a penny per stream. Maybe not the best product to steer people towards, but depends on your strategy. You can send people to Bandcamp. You can send them to paid communities. You can send them to free communities. You can sell tickets. You can sell merch. You could sell workshops and education. There's an infinite amount of things that you can put at the bottom of the funnel to either monetize or get people to take a desired action. For Abigayle, we're going to talk about 3 here, which is tickets, Bandcamp, and her Substack community. Oh, and streaming, so 4. So number 1, tickets. Because Abigayle is getting attention, squirreling those people away onto her mailing list, building a relationship with them over time. Now Abigayle is at the point where she's able to actually sell tickets to that audience. So Abigayle, this is an example of one of the emails that Abigayle sent out. The only reason that this email will actually get people to buy tickets is because she's gone through the work of building that relationship. So Abigayle, how have you seen this entire process translate into actual ticket sales for you?
I mean, it's night and day. Like I just did, yeah, like I said, I've been touring since probably like fall of 2023, and the first time was just to get my feet wet and like see what it was like to be on the road and play a show every night. But now it's like, okay, when I leave my house in Nashville and like put all other work on hold, like I do need to come back and like pay my rent after I'm done playing these shows. So I just did my first run through. It was actually this email, Ohio and upstate New York, and it was the first time where like every room was at capacity,
Mm,
and that was a combination of like the email list and also collaborating with local artists who have their email lists. So together we can pack a room of 75, 100 people, and so yeah, it's very like brick by brick, as you said, and
yeah.
something I've started doing recently is like asking people who are fans of my music if they know of anyone in the area who would like what I do. Like send them. I'm coming to Rockford, Illinois next month, and someone just replied to me and was like, "I went to college there. I'm sending out all my college buddies to your show." So it's like um, I don't know. People want to support and like be a part of a musical journey, and um, I also I think about like the 10 core fans that I have, and like how they would be really bummed if they missed if I was coming through town and I like didn't tell them about it. So
Right.
sometimes I'm just sending these emails for like the one person that I know that lives there, and then more comes off of that. But
Yeah. Yeah. And again, this is something that took time to build it to the point where it gets here. And I'll talk about that in a little bit. But same thing that we see even with Mad Records is like people want to support us. People want to share what we're doing. And so again, if you engage and run your business with values and in a way that you feel like is moral, people respond really well to that. So again, it's not gross to have a bottom of the funnel. It's only gross if you are a gross person. And
and
I
it
don't
was
think
actually
most of us.
Dawn that I was Dawn sending people to
Oh,
the
there you
show from
go.
Rockford.
And
So
then and Don's here because one of our emails. So this is
exactly.
you're seeing it in real time, ladies and gentlemen. This is incredible. So tickets are one component of it. Bandcamp is another. So this is the EP, which by the way, we should mention, Abigayle literally just had an EP come out. What was it, Friday?
Hmm.
Which one of my favorite things that I've heard in a very long time. I'm obviously a huge fan of Abigail's, but that EP came out. She has now a massive mailing list that she can actually talk to about this release. So tell us about what happened with your Bandcamp.
Yeah, I mean, this was morning of. I was fixing my this like link where it says click here to listen on your favorite platform, and it had all of the like Spotify, Apple Music, the streaming platforms, and I had the thought to like I should put my Bandcamp on there because that would be best case scenario, people actually purchasing the music. And yeah, I got a few $100s from it just on a Friday. Happy release day. Like it was
Love
not
it.
expected, and yeah.
Yeah. So one email in the morning nets a couple $100 for you in Bandcamp sales. So again, is that going to catapult you into superstardom? No, but these are the brick by brick type of approaches that we talk about um, that end up adding up, especially when you have this as one component of a whole ecosystem. So Bandcamp is another thing at Abigail's bottom of the funnel. By the way, go listen to the EP. Abigail, if you want to drop the EP also in the chat or the Bandcamp, feel free to do that too.
Thanks. Yeah, me.
Um, And then the other another thing that sits at the bottom of Abigail's funnel is her Songbird book club. So this is an example of something that isn't Abigail trying to get people to buy something, but just getting people to engage with something. And this is the Songbird book club. Basically, what this is a club where Abigail picks a book and everyone in this community reads the book, and then they write a song about the book, and then they get together on a Zoom and they share that song with each other, and they all listen to each other's music. And so this is just another way, basically, of Abigail building and deepening the relationship with her existing audience. It could potentially be something that Abigail does monetize in the future. Potentially, this could be something where it's like, you pay $10 to be part of the club or whatever the case is. So, Abigail, any additional insight on the book club?
Yeah, another thing another wisdom piece that you shared with me a while back was like having a place where you are like in the room or like it online,
Right.
you have all these different platforms and like social media, you're like showing up technically, but actually like having a community space where you can connect with your friends from like all across the country because that was sometimes I can't get back to Texas twice in a year to like engage with these wonderful people that I've met while playing shows. And um, I like the idea of a book club because I wanted to read more, and it turns out a lot of people want to read more and want to write more too. So this is like one of my favorite things have that are like new as of this year, and um, I like that people are like making friends too, and there's a room for like possible collaboration and because at the end of the day, like artist to artist relationships are the most important, and if I can provide a space where people can be creative um, and we all hang out and chat about the book, it's like it's so fun for me. Those are
Yeah.
sometimes the best projects to work on.
Yeah. And this is hosted on Abigail's Substack, partially, but also through the mailing list. So y'all are opted into the mailing list. So if you want to join this Songbird Book Club too, I'm sure Abigail will have details on that.
Yeah.
So yeah, again, the lesson there, what I talked to about Abigail is one key piece of this entire process that we're talking about is that you can't fake it. People know if you're just trying to use them or just trying to get them to do something. You have to actually care about people. You have to actually want to build a relationship with them, right? I could do this webinar and I could phone it in and I could try and, just put some slides together and try and get you guys to show up. I have to actually care about this. And I do care about this, which is good. But you can sense that in people. And the only way that this works is that if people come into your ecosystem, if they actually feel like, oh man, this is a place for me. These are my type of people. These are people that actually care about me and want to help. So the Songbird Book Club is a perfect example of like something where Abigail is able to kind of pour her passion into and kind of really come up with some really core people that love what she's doing. So yeah, uh, love that. And then streaming is one component of this portfolio of products and things that Abigail has in her business. And so a lot of people, if you've been following me for a while, a lot of people think that I'm anti-streaming. I'm not anti-streaming. I basically have two stances on it, which is number one, don't send people to streaming platforms before you collect the data on them first. If I just send everybody, if Abigail sent everybody from The Voice and everybody from the folk festivals and everybody on social media to Spotify, she may get really big numbers, but she never would have been able to build that relationship with them because she didn't have the data on who they were first. And she never would have been able to market tickets or the book club or the release or the band camp if she didn't have that data first. So number one is don't send people streaming until you have the data first. And then the second thing is recognize that streaming is basically a product that you're selling for 3/10 of a penny. Okay, that's great. That can be part of your products that you sell, but recognize what it actually looks like to build a business out of something with that price point and how challenging that's going to be. And so having it as one of multiple avenues for you seems to be the right approach. And also too, we can acknowledge the fact that like having decent streaming numbers is going to open some doors for Abigail with venues and different festivals to let people know that she is, got a following. So there's some merit to that. But again, that she's not staking her entire life on just this one thing. Um, any thoughts on the streaming side of things, Abigail?
Yeah, I mean that this has been the biggest change in my business plan thanks to Mad Records because I think I asked you about like, oh, should I run some ads to like get my streams up? And then
Oh,
it was just kind of a very like clear answer of like, no, like you're gonna just lose all of that money. And so now I think of Spotify as just another touch point, really. And some people like I don't know how Instagram and Spotify interact, but there seems to be some kind of like when I was posting a lot of a certain song, like I had people were like finding me on Spotify somehow
mm,
magically. But again, I don't have that data. Or sometimes like people will comment like I've been listening to this on Spotify a bunch. So it's like it I'm glad it exists, but it's not like where I'm driving. It's not where I'm sending people. Like I very rarely am like go listen to this song because that's the other thing. Like even when you're promoting a song on Instagram, the chances of people like leaving the app to go listen is very unlikely. Like you want
right.
when you're on Instagram, you're scrolling and looking at a bunch of things. Like you're not gonna hop off and go like click on an ad even. I don't know. So yeah, that's my answer.
Cool. I love it. Yeah, I think again, this should be one of many steps that you take in your bottom of the funnel. And someone had a good point that at 3/10 of a penny per stream, it almost falls into the attention category rather than a product. So
Yeah,
yeah,
totally.
Spotify almost is top of funnel if in a sense it gets a little murky. But the purpose of this and so this is every step of Abigail's basically the funnel that she's had. So there's a couple things that I want to kind of just underline before we wrap up here, get ready to wrap up and then switch to questions. So we're going to do Q&A at the end of this, so stick around. Um, the thing I want to drive attention to is that basically we've been working with Abigail for, like I said, about a year and a half, maybe almost 2 years now or something like this. So you're seeing Abigail a couple years into a long-term plan. And so again, this is not the end destination. This is the strategy to get to that end destination. And so what you're going to see a lot of other music marketer people are going to say is like, oh, they're going to point to people that are playing stadiums and arenas. And what you really want to look for is people that you go, okay, can see what they're actually doing. I see the path that they're on. And I encourage you guys check in on Abigail's career from time to time and notice that what you're not going to see is these massive peaks and valleys. You're going to see something that's going to consistently build. And when certain things come along, like The Voice or, the hot dog thing, it's like you're going to get these bumps where things move a little bit quicker, and that's great. But there isn't going to be this huge period of letdown because what she's doing is actually sustainable and that she's able to build on. So you had one story that I just wanted you to tell quickly, Abigail, of like this past weekend where you saw kind of all of this start to connect. If you don't mind sharing that.
Yeah, I mean, it started with that email of, EP's out. Oh wow, like there's money in my Bandcamp for the first time in a long time because I, shared that link, and then I drove to Atlanta to play a house show, and just a little backstory on like how I got that opportunity. I played at a festival in Texas where I met this lovely couple who does house concerts in a very intimate setting, and they invite all their friends out. And then I had people show up there for the first time who were like, I saw you on TV. I found out about this through your email list. So um, it's
Mm,
easy for me to just kind of like tunnel vision, like show up to these things and, play the gig. But then if I actually look up and see like where certain things are working, I feel encouraged by that. And um, like it I just makes me want to like drill down even more and like have more consistent like opportunities where that's happening because it everything like builds on itself. Every show that you play like is an opportunity to meet your next collaborator or like a new fan and yeah, that's the truth as I know it. That's how
Yeah,
I'm building
that's just
it.
how you're sticking to it. And
Mhm.
I'll say too, just to give Abigail credit, like there's a component of faith that kind of goes into this whole thing where you have to really work this process for a long time before you see it work for you. And I thank God for Abigail because she's the one that took all of these ideas where I was like, no, you have to build a mailing list, you have to do this, and you have to do that, and put streaming after the opt-in and all of that stuff, and really, kind of put her faith in us and implemented a lot of things that we talked about. And it's really, really cool to see all of that work, but the kind of the lesson behind it is that it takes time, it takes patience, and it takes repeated failure. And anybody who's going to tell you that that's not the case, or anybody who's going to tell you that there's a quick fix, Abigail is, I'm sure, the perfect testimonial to say like it's not. It's slow, it's a grind. It's probably a lot of days, Abigail, where you feel like frustrated or wish it could move faster or considering like, oh, why do I even want to do this at all? That's what it feels like. Unfortunately, that's what it feels like to build a real business. But I jokingly say unfortunately, but the beauty of it is that it teaches you a lot about yourself. You learn a lot of lessons, you learn patience, you learn to enjoy the journey, and you're not always waiting for something to blow up because you know that this is going to be a long-term process. So, um, and the last myth that we want to debunk here is to have success, you need to replicate what successful artists are doing. What Abigail is doing, the reason why it's working for her is because she's doing it 100% her own way. All she's doing is just putting and systematizing, putting in place a system that is building on what she's doing. But everything that she's doing is done her own way based on her specific strengths. So she's not looking at other artists and saying, I need to do what they're doing. She's doing everything her own way. She's just systematized it in a way that she's able to actually build relationships with people. So every artist path looks completely different. Last thing that I'm going to talk to you guys about before we open up to Q&A is just kind of how we do that at Mad Records. Um, we believe in this idea of paths, not promises. So we're not going to tell you, oh, you're going to be selling out arenas or you're going to be opening up for your favorite artists. We believe in helping you find what your path looks like, your 5-year path, and what that looks like specific to you and how it's different from Abigail. And so I have just a couple more test cases from other students in our program and what those different paths look like. We have an artist named Meryl. She goes by the artist name Joanne Bird, touring act that sold over 1,000 tickets on her last tour, landed a major sync placement in a Netflix season finale, pre-sold over 70 copies. Actually, last I checked, I think it's over 120 copies of her new vinyl. So Meryl is kind of taking that traditional artist touring approach, and we're building a path with her to do that. We have David, who is a former creative director and ad agency owner, who now is taking his background and his strength in branding and advertising and is building a mailing list via Substack where he is talking about the brands behind some of the greatest bands of all time. So he's doing like these branding deep dives on some of the greatest rock and roll bands. And then as people get onto his mailing list for that branding, he's also releasing music of his own that is of the same genre, and that's how he's building his audience. If you're on Substack, you've probably seen me talk about David before. He's awesome. So again, this very different path from the traditional touring artist, and it relies on David's strengths specifically. And then we have another artist, Shannon. Shannon is a theater and psychology degree and is building a music show for children that teaches social emotional learning through music. And so we've connected her with an Emmy Award winning children's show producer, and she's getting ready to launch her children's show on Substack that is going to teach social emotional learning. And again, that's because that leverages her strengths and her background. So again, each one of these people has such a unique path. And the way that we do that with Mad Records is a combination of education and mentorship plus action. So again, first and foremost, you need to understand these concepts, the fundamental concepts behind what we're actually doing here, how to get attention, how to store that attention, how to build relationships, and how to get people to take a specific action. And once you do that, then you need to build your own path on top of that framework, just like Abigail did, or just like Merrill did, or just like David did. And so that's where our mentorship kind of comes into play at Mad Records. You get to work with me, artist and business guy. You get to work with Rob, who was here earlier, who's a former Atlantic Records A&R and sync licensing extraordinaire. Get to work with our producer, Reed Sorrell, on your production. You get to work with our lovely operations manager, Lucy, who's here as well, who is our kind of accountability coach as well. And what we do in our program is we allow people to actually build a path that is unique to them and custom to their strengths and their specific circumstances. Um, so Abigail, I guess closing thoughts, I would just ask you, like, working with Mad Records with us over the last year and a half, like any kind of major takeaways or how it's been helpful for you?
Yeah, I mean, you guys are very good at focusing me and other artists on what's important. Like, I think I learned the word vanity metrics from a panel at Mad Records of like, what
Yeah.
actually matters, what's actually moving the needle and contributing to a sustainable career. Because, you can chase flashy opportunities or like streaming numbers, but, those are kind of like the flash in the pan. And I think what y'all are doing here is like building a framework so that when opportunities come along, you have the systems in place to really take advantage of the opportunities. And so, yeah, I'm really grateful for the mindset help there. And it's always inspiring to like have a conversation and like remember what's important and feel like it is possible to bootstrap this thing, like
Yeah.
it is up
And
to you. So
And I would say, as someone who was a former business, Wall Street guy, like the reason why they keep people distracted with all of this gambling stuff is because all the money is made in the rest of the funnel. So if I can just keep the artist focusing on the attention side and never teach them anything else, then someone else can swoop in and make all the money from it. That's kind of what the traditional labels are built on. So what we're trying to do here is teach you these fundamental concepts. I know it's not the most exciting thing. It's not as fun as, posting content and hoping it blows up, but this is how you build something real. And we have the time and the opportunity and the tools are available for us to do it ourselves right now. So if you guys are interested in working with us, we are running our biggest incubator promotion of the year right now. It's $3,000 for a full year. You get 7 mentorship calls every single week that you're able to jump on. Understand that that's not cheap. But again, if you're considering this versus playlist ads or uh, meta ads or whatever, I'm encouraging you come in, work with us for a year, and let's build an actual path that helps you to achieve what you want to achieve over the course of, several years and be realistic about that. We do have payment plans available, interest-free payment plans available. We try to make it as affordable as possible. To make sure that artists are actually able to do it. So if you're interested, Lucy's posting a link to book a call with us in the chat. I also have a QR code here if you want to scan that. And we'll do a free consultation, talk with you about your music career. You'll get to talk with me directly, one-on-one. I won't pressure you, I promise. And we'll kind of just figure out what is your specific situation? What is it that you're trying to build? What are your unique strengths? And then we can start to carve out a path from there and see if we want to work together moving forward. So that's the shtick. That is all I have for today. So we're gonna open it up to Q&A. Um, I'm going to minimize my screen here so I can see the chat. I'll leave that QR code up there for a second so you guys can scan it if you want to book a call. And if you have questions, now is the time to put them in the chat. And we'll stick on and answer them. So, all right. Um, okay, Lucy, it looks like you've got some queued up, and then I can keep track of the ones that are coming in too. So do you mind reading those off?
Yeah. Well, Kristen, you've put yours in twice, so we can start with that. It was, yeah, do you have a separate email list aside from Substack?
Yep, great question. So I do have a separate email list. The reason why is because I like my Substack to be value only. So I want people to know that when they get a Substack post from me, that I am providing value, it's a weekly newsletter that it's going to be valuable for them. I don't like to promote through my Substack. So that's what I use my traditional email for. And so basically people know, okay, if I'm getting a Substack, this isn't going to be a sales thing. This is going to be something that is valuable for me. And then any promotion marketing that I do through the mailing list to just kind of let people know that's like, yeah, this is a promotion, this is marketing, but that's very different from my Substack. You don't have to do that. It's just my personal preference.
Sweet. Ernest said, "How do you get a live audience to re-engage with them?"
How do you get a live audience to re-engage with them? So I'm guessing the question there is like, how do you get the live audience in the first place to get them onto the mailing list after? So what Abigail did, and maybe you could speak to this, Abigail, is like by going to these folk festivals that already had existing audiences. It's not like Abigail threw a show that was like the Abigayle Oakley showcase. She went to a place that was already going to have an existing audience and managed to get booked there first. So do you have any additional insight after that?
Yeah, finding rooms and communities that already have people like built in, whether they're other songwriters or people who are passionate about new music. Those are the rooms to invest in and play at. Or you know, even it could be as simple as like, you know, telling friends in your own hometown to like, you know, come out and play their songs, or like, you know, you can build those places too just among the people that you know, and like that's a good place to like start growing your audience, is just like the people who already know that you're making music, and like create an event and like a space around that.
Yeah, and sometimes it's just how you market it, where it's like instead of throwing the Michael Gilbride show and trying to sell tickets, go down to the local, ice cream shop and say like, "Hey, let's do an ice cream social event where we play music or whatever." And that will get people out for the event. And once they're there, then you can do the work of getting them onto the mailing list or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And this
Um,
next question kind of goes off the back of that. So,
okay.
how did you get to the place where festivals want you to perform? That's from Neil.
I had several years of applying to festivals and like not hearing back. It probably took me 4 or 5 years in Nashville just trying to like figure out how I want to write songs. So yeah, I mean a lot of those festival applications are like blind applications. Like you just submit a song and it's based off of, they have a whole jury that they have listen and like rank and stuff. So I heard a lot of no's before I was ever invited. And yeah, I mean that's the
Yeah.
plain and simple answer is like
Yeah, you
just
you
TikTok.
gotta you gotta kind of bootstrap these things too. And you gotta start small. And then use those successes to then reach out to bigger venues and point to your past successes. It is a process. But what's the next question?
On socials, how often do you promote your email list?
On socials, how much? Abigail, you want to answer
Not enough. I
that?
did it for this event, like, sharing the registration link. And then when I post on Substack, I almost always link the Substack link, and sometimes that results in an email. And then I have a pop up on my website that is like, would you like to subscribe? So I feel encouraged by this call to just like put in my phone, like once a week, I need to make up some reason for like, oh, hey, do you know I have an email list? Because I don't have like a method to be completely honest, but we should, right? We should have a method and like a
We for sure should. That sounds like a future coffee meeting that we're gonna have to have.
cool.
The one thing that I'll say too, because I know this is something that a lot of people struggle with, is like people are like, "Oh, I don't want to bother people and I want to ask people for things." If these people like what you're doing, they want to know more, right? If they're opting into your mailing list, it's because they like what you're doing. And so there's this very weird thing that happens with artists where it's like people opt into your mailing list. So they're basically coming up to you and they're saying, "Abigail, I love what you do and I want to hear more about it." And then the artist turns in and is like, well, I don't want to bother them, so I'm not going to send them anything. It's like they're asking you for, they want to know. So talk to them. Like these people are interested in what you're doing. So if if you're going through all this work to make music that resonates with people and they're coming up to you saying, I'm interested in what you're doing, then great, talk to them, like share information with them. You're not bothering them. And if the few people here and there that leave because they are bothered by it, then that's a good thing because that's how you find the actual people that are there for what you're doing. And so every time we send an email out, we get people who unsubscribe, and that's part of the process of us finding who are the people here that are really meant to be here. So, um, okay. Next question.
Another one? I was just
Yes.
thinking we've had that exact conversation as well, Michael. So I love this.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
oh yes,
Oh no,
nearly
I talk
in.
about this is
Yeah,
repeating a lot of things I say a lot.
I love it. Cool. So Nikolai says, I'm 46. Does it even make sense to try this, or should I just stick with sync? I have decades of live experience already, but this was all sub biz radar.
Hmm. Great question. Two separate answers, and then Abigail, I'll throw to you, which is number one, it depends on what you want to do. Uh, the only reason to pursue this would be as if you want what's on the other side of the journey. So if you want to go out and build a live touring act again, then great. This is the way to do it. And the thing is, it's going to take time and it's going to take work. And so you just want to make sure that this is something that you actually want to build. There's nothing morally good about you pursuing this strategy. It's only if you want what comes out of it. So I would say there isn't a right or a wrong. It just depends on what you want to build. And then the second thing that I'll say is you mentioned you're 46 years old. I think there's an incredible opportunity for artists that are not in their 20s right now to build real audiences. Because the truth of the matter is, myself included, most of the world is not in their 20s, and the only music that is really pushed constantly in their faces is from people in their 20s. And so I think there's this huge pent up demand for music from people that are of all different ages. And so I think if you can tap into that and you can build real relationships with this, like through this method, you're going to find some really passionate fans because there isn't a lot of options available for them. So just my two thoughts on it. But Abigail, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I agree with all of that. And I wanted to add the Kerrville New Folk Contest. There are six winners, and I won last year along with like um, just a beautiful range of ages of artists. This woman, Cindy Kalmanson, she's in her 60s and like writes awesome songs. And like, I think there's like, yeah, at most places I go where I'm playing, like that, the median age is like, is older than you would think. And I think there's like, I think sometimes when I walk into a room, people are like, "What do you have to write about? You're in your 20s." And I like kind of get that because, you have that much more experience and live stage experience. So like I would hate for anyone to limit themselves based on their age. And my mom's a performer too, and it's like we were touring as a family for her one woman show when she was in her 40s. And um so it's like, yeah, you can definitely
Totally.
do like whatever your dream is that you want to do. Like there's a saying, like, to be the noun you have to do the verb. So if you want to tour, like, tour, hit up some friends in different cities and be like, I want to play, what are the good spots, what are the venues? So
Yep.
yeah.
And just implement this stuff as you go along. All right, a couple more questions. That cool, Abigail?
Yeah.
All right, let's keep rolling.
Want me to? Yeah. Adam
Yeah,
said, what's a metric or time frame that tells you that you need to change strategy or method?
good question. So what I like to do is kind of look at each stage of this funnel separately because the goal is to get something that you're moving people through the entire funnel. What you might find as you go throughout this process is that you're really good at getting attention and you're really good at getting them onto the mailing list, but then all of a sudden, no one's buying anything. And so that's an indicator for you to say, okay, there's something going on here. Either the people I'm bringing into this ecosystem don't want what I'm selling at the bottom of this funnel, and I need to change that product, or I need to change the audience that I'm pulling into this funnel. So I'll give you guys a specific example. Back when I was at mastering.com, we sold music production education programs. And one of the ways that we used to build our mailing list was we used to give away free plugins. So it was like, okay, sign up for our mailing list and you'll get this free plugin. And it was really, really good at getting attention. And it was really, really good at getting people onto the mailing list. But then what we found out is that none of those people actually wanted to buy any products. They just wanted something free. And so that funnel was broken. And what we had to do is we basically had to go back to the drawing board and say, okay, the people that were pulling into this funnel, it's actually not achieving what we wanted to. So you kind of got to look at each place specifically and say, okay, what's the thing that's broken here? But the number one kind of thing to look for is like, if people aren't taking that desired action or paying for anything at the end of the day, doesn't matter if they're telling you that they love it, doesn't matter if they're like, this is the greatest thing I've ever heard. If someone doesn't eventually take an action or swipe a credit card or come out to one of your shows, it it's all just kind of words at that point, and you see a lot of that in this industry. So it's important to kind of be objective and say like, is this actually getting me closer to my goals? So Abigail, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I love how objective and methodical you are because I think I have a tendency to change up the method too much without any reason because I
Mm.
get bored and I
Yeah.
like feel like things aren't working when they actually are. Um, and I think just having like honesty with yourself and I mean right now like I know I'm spending too much time in the attention area because it's like it's easiest for me to just post videos on Instagram and feel the satisfaction of like okay yay people are watching it or like they're commenting but I know that that's not the end goal. That's not the Mad Records way and I'm sorry but
Oh,
sometimes I just don't
I get it.
do what I know better but um
I totally get it. Yeah, you got to be objective because if you just start going off of what's validating, then yeah, you see a lot of people get a lot of validation and then it doesn't actually turn into anything real.
mhm.
All right, next question.
Jill or Gil, I'm sorry if I'm which way I'm pronouncing it.
Gil, Gil.
Do you think a video like or a PDF or is a more effective way to deliver an EPK? I find that attachments typically go to spam. A link, however, might not get clicked on. Thoughts?
Oh, interesting.
I use a link typically, especially if it's a new contact. Because, yeah, attachments can be a little squirrely sometimes, but that's just. And then that link has um, videos and a PDF.
Yeah, I think if they're not clicking the link, then there's a problem with the outreach in the email that it needs to be fixed. Like if you're doing the right job in your outreach, then they're going to want to click that link and check out the EPK. So yeah, I would agree with Abigail. I would do a link, not an attachment, and then I would include all of your assets in there. So that way they can bounce around and take a look at your videos or your EPK or whatever the case is. Okay, maybe like two more.
Yeah, Ralph's one just here at the bottom there. How important is it to have a full-length video on your music on YouTube? Well, my brain.
Uh, I would say not important. Like it depends again on what you're basically doing. Okay, a lot of people fall into this trap, myself included, is they go to promote my song, I'm going to make a music video. And what they end up doing is they just end up spending money creating another thing that they effectively now have to promote. Like the music video doesn't inherently just promote itself any more than your song does. And so what ends up happening is people spend 3 grand on a music video and go, okay, great. Now I've got a song to promote and now I've got a music video to promote. How do I fix both of those problems now? So creating a music video does not promote your song. Now you just have another asset that you can, in theory, promote. That's part of your ecosystem. So I think music videos are like, in my opinion, like it's a place that you could spend a ton of money and it's not going to inherently do anything to make any other part of your funnel inherently work better. You still have to be promoting all of these things in order for anybody to engage with the music video in the first place. So I don't think you need to have a music video at all. In fact, I think sometimes it makes it harder, but Abigail, maybe you feel differently.
Well, just in case you're asking about like performance videos, like full length videos I would agree in the
Oh, I see.
music video space, but live performance videos, those have been really helpful for me with applications and just having something to show venues or festivals that you can sing the songs that are out on streaming platforms. Like that live performance videos, I'd say pretty important. But yeah.
Awesome. Yes, that's different than what I was thinking.
But you don't have to spend a bunch of money on that. Like I think one of my favorite showcases I ever got to do was an iPhone video of like me singing a song, and that was my application because that's all I had time for. And they were like, "Yeah, sure,
There you
come
go.
on."
Minimum viable product, that's what we call it.
Mm.
Okay. Any other questions, Lucy?
I haven't seen any more. Let me know, guys, if I'm missing any.
I
I
think
think we,
that's everything.
yeah.
Okay, sweet. Well, thank you all. One's in chat for Abigail and for her
Hey.
sharing her insight and letting us dig around her funnel and ask some questions. So thanks, Abigail, for doing that. Keep an eye out for emails from Abigail. Like I said, take notes. She's very good at this. So take notes on what she's doing. Also, go engage with her stuff. And if you guys are interested, book a call with us and we can talk more about working with us and what it looks like to build a path for your music career. We'll have the replay for this available as well. We'll send that out via email. So keep an eye out for that. And we will see you all next time.
Thank you so
Thank you all
much,
very
Michael.
much. Yeah,
It's
thank
been great.
you. All right. See ya.